We are all touched by God, all of us. But we are not touched by God in the same way. We are all touched by God in a different way, even if you don't feel it right now. Even if you don't think so right now, we all are. And just because someone is touched by God in a different way, that does not mean that it's in a better way. My wife likes to get the LED lights in the house, the light bulbs. They last longer. They shine a little bit differently. They're not like the traditional light bulbs that we have come to know over the last decades, right? They're shaped differently. But what do? They do the exact same thing that the other light bulb does, and that's light up a room. And when you are touched by God, you light up a room. Whether you believe it or not, you are affecting someone. Mother Teresa affects people all around the world, even with not being around anymore. She is touched by God in a different way, not a better way, in a different way. Because sometimes that light needs to shine in a different way for you to see it. My wife gravitates towards the LED lights, and that lights her room. I just need a light bulb. Some people need Mother Teresa, some people need the light bulb. Neither one is better when you just need light. Forget about the electricity, forget about how long lasting, you just need light. So that leads me to today's verse. I want you to turn to Psalm 116, line 15. Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints. I'll read it again. Psalm 116:15. Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints. Light bulbs go out. Lights go out. People die. Saints die. It's amazing to think that a saint, someone who is considered to be the most devout of people, who super loyal to God, can also die. Death is a tremendous thing that we think is only relegated to certain aspects of life. You're supposed to die when you're old. It's not the case. You're not supposed to die when you're a saint, right? Why should we die when we're devout to God like that? Death skips no one. And unfortunately, that brings us back to someone who's a family of this church, Brian Montgomery. He's related to Jonathan, who spoke earlier today. He's going through a tough time, as you all know. His stepson was tragically murdered, and I have never seen such an outpouring of support from this church before, and I want to inform everyone that Charlotte's doing okay. Brian is toughing it out. His ex-girlfriend, who suffered the loss the hardest, is pulling in there. But we all can't deny the light bulb that is Charlotte. She's a different light bulb. She has, without even knowing, survived yet another tragedy. To say she is touched in a different way is an understatement. And we all understand why you would want to be in her presence. And she's a blessing. She is a sign to us all that you can survive tragedies without even knowing. You can be the light bulb without even knowing it. as one light went out, she's still here. I see tears because it's true. She's a miracle baby. I'm looking through this week's stats and I know it's a tragedy what your nephew has endured. It really is. But you know how we have recurring donations auto debited from members? Those are up 75% today. Member sign-ups, 85%. We have sign-ups already for the holiday programs in December. We're seeing more numbers in the church picnics and the social gatherings. A lot of inquiries. New member classes are up. The small group studies that we started 3 weeks ago, that's up. Everything's up. It's the mere mention of your nephew and Charlotte that people just, there is a holy air around that baby. I'm not surprised. It's as expected. My family has gone through tragedy. We're relatable. Everyone's going through something. And the fact that Charlotte has survived, she truly is a miracle baby. And I have been trying to get her in front of the church, and at least in the church at some point, so that we can take some pictures. And I know he's grieving, and I know that she's probably, the mother of Charlotte, her name's Miranda, right? I know she's not going to want to bring Charlotte around anyone, and maybe we shouldn't be parading the baby around. And I think it's quite selfish, actually, that Brian doesn't push Miranda to allow Charlotte to be in her family church. These people who come in every Sunday and during the week, they've had a hard week. They just want something to hope for. Charlotte is that hope, and she's not being utilized in any way. She's part of the family, and she can't even be in the family church. Imagine if Mother Teresa had just stayed home. How do you change the world if you're at home doing nothing? That's what, I don't know. My viewpoint's a little skewered. You can't be pushy, Jonathan. Remember what's right and wrong. Right and wrong. How long have you been a preacher here at this church? For you to throw those two words at me? Not long. Why? Because I'm the one that runs this church and deal with the people every week. For you to stand there and tell me that my intent is other than pure, it's offensive. Don't do that. Just because I want to grow my church and make it one of the biggest ones in the country, there's nothing wrong with that. My nephew's daughter is a miracle, and people flock to that. Why deny them? It's not hurting her. Okay, I just hope we're not forgetting what's right and wrong. It's nice that all the analytics for your church are going well, but let's not sell our souls or sell the soul of a baby to continue rising the analytics. We can't, she can't be used as a goal. Stop. Don't do that. All I'm asking my nephew to do is bring her around the church every now and then so that people can see the miracle that she is and feel it in their heart and have a connection between them and God. That's it. Not asking her to be the Gerber baby of our church or anything like that. I'm so tired of that analogy being thrown out there. I've heard it. Technically, she is your blood. It's not my place to give you advice here, I guess. I shouldn't be giving you my unsolicited advice. I just wanted to let you know that the analytics were up. Everything is going well. It's sad that everything's going well based off of a recent tragedy, but I guess the community is coming together, and I think that's what we should focus on. It's the fact that people aren't joining the church for salacious reasons. They're joining it because they genuinely want to support this family. Maybe we don't forget that they're actually joining this church for good reasons. Good reasons. Every week you are here to spread God's word, right? You want to reach as many people as you can. So how do you do that? You have to be in a building that attracts those people. And that building has to be a growing church. The story of Charlotte ignited Serafina Town, crossed boundaries into newspapers, internet stories. Every social media feed had Charlotte's story on there. She was a missing baby that turned up found and unharmed. That type of publicity brings new members to the church. It's just logistics. There is nothing good or bad about it. Well, spreading God's word, I think that's good, no? I just don't think that growing numbers is always the most important factor in running a church, but I have not run a church. Yeah, that's exactly it. You have not. You've never run a church, nor have you run what I run, a megachurch. And if you weren't preaching in this megachurch, you would be in a building with 20 people. Right? So don't give me advice on how to run my business. Right. I'm going to be on my way now. I'll pray for you, Jonathan. I don't need you to pray for me. If you want to keep preaching at my church, don't say things like that. I'll pray for you. Larry, what did the live stream numbers of today's sermon look like? And did they dip the second we stopped talking about Charlotte?